diaphragmatic clamp. Greetings, dear course participants. The next clamp we will be working on is the diaphragmatic clamp. This clamp is associated precisely with the feeling of fear. When we feel fear, the diaphragm begins to contract. We start to close, hide. That is, with this sensation, we begin to hide, and the diaphragm begins to contract. A pinched diaphragm also provokes the development of a sense of fear. That is, if you constantly have this clamp inside, then it also provokes the development of anxiety. In the diaphragm, we have the vagus nerve, and when it is tightly clamped, our nervous system is constantly in an overexcited state. When we relax as much as possible, remove the clamp, the nervous system feels more relaxed. Therefore, it is one of the most basic clamps. Also, when there is this clamp, the blood circulation of the internal organs and the genitals and the circulatory system, which goes to the legs, is disturbed, because the most vital nerves, vessels, abdominal aorta, veins, pass through the diaphragm, including the solar plexus, which passes through the diaphragm. If it is compressed, the circulation of the entire lower body is disrupted. So, this is a very important lesson. Well, let's get started. We will improve the mobility of the abdominal wall and diaphragm, thereby stretching and relaxing it. What do we do? First, we do the maximum deflection in the lower back. Then, this deflection should be removed as much as possible, and the entire spine should be pressed to the floor. That is, the lumbar region should be rounded. Whoever has lordosis, it is clear that it will be very difficult to do. It can even be quite painful. Do the best you can. You don't need to set record goals. If it doesn't work, then do it the way it works. We bend the lower back as much as possible and lowered the spine down. Along with this, we have a movement of the diaphragm, and it stretches and contracts. This removes the clamp. They bent the lumbar spine and squeezed, lowered the spine, pressed it as much as possible to the floor. And even more difficult variation. For those who find it easy to do this, you can put your feet down. Then it will be more difficult to press the spine to the floor. But for example, when I lowered my spine for the first time, my knees began to rise up. Make sure your knees are flat on the floor, carrying out movement with your spine, and press it to the floor, including mentally concentrating on the diaphragm. The diaphragm is located where we have the costal arches. Concentrate mentally on this muscle, which separates the chest and abdominal wall, like this. Thus, you, among other things, prevent the development of lordosis and reduce it. Well done. Next, we will work on the mobility of the chest and on the stretching of the diaphragm. We put on the sides under the chest and begin to take a strong breath, while trying to make sure that the chest expands without lifting the shoulder joints up. Be sure to watch your shoulder joints so that they do not bulge up. Restrain them. They should be as low as possible. We take a breath and exhale. Compress the chest as much as possible. Inhale and exhale. We try to squeeze it as much as possible. And squeeze. Inhale. And squeeze. Repeat 10 to 15 times. Further, we will do the mobility of our chest. This will stretch the diaphragm. The pelvis should remain in place. We move the rib cage to the left and right. In this case, the pelvis is motionless. This movement also releases the diaphragm clap, like this. We will be doing side bends with the elbow joint. This is easier to do with straight legs. If you bend your legs, the exercises will become more difficult. And for those who have hernias and protrusions in the spine, I do not recommend. Do it with bent legs. If you know for sure that there are no hernias and protrusions, you can bend your legs and do this exercise as slowly and as carefully as possible, so as not to harm your spine. These are not very pleasant movements for the spine. If you know that you have problems in the spine, then it's better not to do this exercise. If your mobility is good and you are confident, then you can perform the exercise. It relaxes the diaphragm very well, but not very good for the spine. We put our hands behind our heads and bend the elbow to the side. At the same time, our diaphragm compresses and stretches very well on the left and right sides. They bend over like that. The left side of the diaphragm has clenched very well now. And on the right side, the diaphragm stretched very well. Leaned over, on the right side it shrank, and on the left side it stretched out. With enough tilt, the diaphragm will stretch very well. If you bend your knees, even for me it became difficult to do. Please be careful. This exercise is done on the knee-elbow support. We will again develop our lumbosacral region. This will be beneficial for lordosis. This will be useful for the diaphragm because it will contract and stretch. This exercise must be done carefully. If there is an hernia or protrusion, with hernias and protrusions, this exercise can and should be done. But do it very carefully and listen to the sensations in the spine that you feel. We bend as much as possible, carefully, no sudden movements. Gently bend the lower back and gently stretched it. Gently bend the lower back and gently stretched it. Imagine you are pulling the tail together. This is how dogs are pulling their tails. Tighten the pelvis. Thus, you will stretch the sacral area as well as possible, and your diaphragm will be well compressed. Bent and stretched. Bent and stretched. Create pulling the pelvis down, and you will feel the maximum stretch. Well done. Next, we will stretch the chest area due to breathing. How we are going to do it? We take our maximum breath and another breath and another breath. We inhale and inhale, not exhale, breathe in, one more time, and again, and the maximum exhalation, another exhale, and another exhale, one more time, we're holding, now inhale, And another breath. Still holding. And the maximum exhalation. One more time. One more time. Such do at least 10 to 15 approaches. You may feel dizzy, it's wonderful. This suggests that oxygen has come to your head, which has not been there for a very long time. It will improve your skin, there will be less headaches, the head will work better. Therefore, do not be afraid of these sensations. Do this exercise every day. Now we will do exercises similar to exercises from Shavasana yoga, but this is different. We remember the parts of the body that bother us the most. Maybe it's pain between the shoulder blades. Maybe it is pain in the sacral region. That tension and pain. Maybe it's a leg or a foot. Maybe it's the abdominal area. Remember all the clamps that you have. We will mentally squeeze one by one. Not everyone can concentrate on some specific parts of the body, but we will learn how to do it. For example, you know that you have pain under the right or under the left shoulder blade. You mentally close your eyes and concentrate on a painful point. For example, the scapula muscle. And you start to squeeze it. Start squeezing it as much as possible. At the same time, try to relax the rest of the body as much as possible. Try to relax the rest of the body with maximum tension in the zone that bothers you. The rest of the body keeps the right or left shoulder blade in tension, either the sacrum or the foot. Now let's start, for example, with the scapula. On the right or left, where it hurts more. We keep it, don't let go, we keep it. While doing this, try to relax the rest of the body as much as possible. And exhale, relax. Let's breathe a little, relax. Now we remember that your foot hurts. And we also begin to squeeze the foot, while the rest of the body is as relaxed as possible. You can breathe calmly at this moment, but your foot is squeezed as much as possible. We're holding, we keep it, we keep it, and relax. Maybe it's the head. They may have persistent headaches. Try to strain muscles of the face and head too, with maximum relaxation of the whole body, and squeezed, even squinting a little. Squeezed, we keep it, and relax. We remember that your hands were going numb. Squeeze the left or right hand and strain as much as possible. In this case, the rest of the body is relaxed. We strain, we keep it, and we relax. This exercise is very useful to do every day. Be healthy.